Get in, nerds, we're playing Victoria 3. We just completed our move to compulsory primary school, and we're working on getting our education level up to maximum. So that's going to continue to increase our level of literacy. However, it occurs to me that we still haven't hit our cap from literacy of innovation, so I think we're going to go ahead and do that. With that having been said, I don't want to just keep throwing more and more universities in the capital, because a lot of these other areas are getting pretty well developed. So let's take a look at basically urbanizations. We got 14 in Jotunland here, 8 in Scania, 9 in Zealand, 9 in Jutland, 9 in Schleswig-Holstein, 5 in eastern Norway and western Norway, and northern Norway, 5 all across Norway, 5 in Norland, and 25 in Svealand. So, I think for our next increase in educational investment, I'm going to put 3 more levels of universities in Jotunland, 2 each in Scania and Denmark, and then 1 in each of these other places. And that should give us a nice, solid, healthy increase in education base. In innovation base, rather. It's going to be very expensive. What about here? What's our urbanization level here? None. Interesting. And in Iceland, also none. Very interesting. These places are still... Iceland and Gotland are still super duper low population. I wonder if I should invest in some industry in these places, just to give them... Ooh, excellent. Gonna work on that in a second. That's modern nursing. It provides a new method for our barracks and for our military buildings. I'm just thinking about the options here. I'm definitely going to want whaling stations as we get on. Because once we get vacuum canning, we're going to need whale oil, because we can't produce oil any other way. Isn't that grand? With Jotunland, though, I'm going to put in 1 level of motor industries, and then in Iceland, I'm going to put in 1 level of glassworks. And these are just to make sure that these industries, these places have a little bit of migration attraction, so that they can increase in population, and so that their people aren't just all leaving. Just take a look at some things here. Predictably, we increased the construction sector, and although we're outputting more construction now, it also means that we're increasing in overall costs. Ooh, interesting little event here. Partisan papers. Party-affiliated newspapers have been proliferating during this election season. Publications associated with the Agrarian Party have been particularly effective in spreading the party line. Read all about it. Honest politicians attacked by shameless cowards. Leading candidate for office issues heartwarming appeal to the common man's heart. Man on campaign trail pets a puppy. Read all about it. The Agrarian Party has used the papers brilliantly, or newspaper circulation is through the roof. This is a boom for publishers. As tempting as paper mill throughput is, I think I want momentum for the Agrarian Party, because the Agrarian Party has basically continued to be our mainstay this whole time. And that's generally been really useful for us. Let's take a look at the election forecasts. Free-minded People's Party is pretty strong, or the Radical People's Party is pretty strong. Free-minded Venstre continues to be weak. We've got a lot of momentum in the agrarian party, and that's just kind of continued through this whole thing. So probably just going to go with not fixing what ain't broke. Sigurd Gildenfeld, I think, has been ruling the country since basically it became not a monarchy in, I want to say, the late 60s, the back half of the 60s. So, you know, again, don't fix what ain't broke. This is probably going to be a really significant increase in paper usage. So, despite the fact that I just didn't do an increase in paper in the paper industry, I am now going to queue up an increase in the paper industry. And we're going to put these in our lowest urbanization states, just to make sure that they get the urbanization they need. And in fact, I think we're going to put them ahead of these universities that we've been working on. I'm just going to go ahead and intersperse these universities in with these buildings, just to make sure that, again, that these territories get built up, so that we don't have a situation where we have a bunch of states that are just kind of bleeding population, because I don't love that. I feel like that's generally not very good for the economy. Alright, let's see how the election goes. Labour Party and the Agrarian Party are strong, Radical People's Party coming right after. So the Radical People's Party are very large and also can be said to be in charge. But really the Agrarian and Labour parties are in charge. Okay, so we have a new leader, Volka Wadenstierna. Let me see, you're Scandinavian. I think that would be Wadenstierna then. Don't quote me on that. So I have basically the highest legitimacy government I can afford to have. Shift work unlocked. Nice. I could pull in the Radical People's Party. That would let me have this vanguardist in power. I'm gonna hold off on that. Again, it's yet early on in our Victoria 3 career. In fact, we haven't even actually hit the midpoint, because remember, the midpoint of the game is 1886. So I'm just going to keep things chill for now. Central Archives completed. Filing cabinets. The use of filing cabinets in the government administration has dramatically increased the effectiveness of state bureaucracy. Huh. I could get a bunch of progress on identification documents or a bureaucracy increase. I'm going to go with progress on identification documents, I guess. That's odd. I don't know why. That event's usually a really early game event. I'm not sure why that happened. It's a bit of an odd one. Alright, come on. That's a bit of an odd one. It's most curious. But no complaints. I think after this recent stretch of university construction, we're going to end up, well, we'll build some more paper mills. Just to feed all these universities the paper that they are so thirsty for. And I'm just going to bring these up and intersperse them in our construction pattern here. I don't know why I do this interspersal thing, but I think it's nice. I just think it's neat. I think after that, we'll take some time. We'll do another construction increase here. And after that, we'll kind of let the construction queue chill out a bit. And we'll let the private sector take over construction for a bit, and that'll let us build up a nice surplus. I think, and I keep saying we're going to do that, but this time I think I'm going to. And part of the reason is because I want to get a surplus going here, like a real gold reserve built up here. So our maximum reserve is 9 million. Because I want to do another small military increase. It occurs to me that our military is still quite small overall. I could go ahead and do this, but I'll give a second to talk about that. Particularly our navy is a little bit underwhelming, and I would like to increase the overall capacity of our country to defend itself if needed. But again, I don't want to go too wild on that. The last time I did a military expansion, it was basically a 50% expansion, and it was probably too much to do all at once. Oh, stay hydrated, kids. So I don't want to necessarily go deep into that. With that having been said, it is time to increase our recovery rate technology. So we're going to go with field hospitals for that. It's going to cost us some tools and a bunch of opium, which means we're going to need to import some opium. And wouldn't you know it, the British have plenty of opening to sell us, although the Russians do too. It's probably China. Nevertheless, that's going to be much more profitable. So we'll go ahead and get that opium imported. And we'll get more and more over time until we've got enough to do what we need. Why are our arts academies producing so little art? Huh. Curious. You're unproductive, but why? Art is so expensive. I don't understand. We took a dip in standard of living. Why? How the heck did our standard of living go down? That's recent. That is a very recent... Did something goofy happen in our market? Are trade routes becoming productive? What is this? What has happened? Well, I mean, this trade route is clearly not productive. Exporting art to the British, we can get rid of that. We don't need that. I wonder if the British market, if Great Britain moved off of... Great Britain is protectionist. I bet that's what happened. Still, this dip in standard of living is concerning. I do want to continue working on that because it feels like a significant concern. Our farms are continuing to produce. So it's not that. It's not that those buildings are not doing well. Livestock ranches are a little underemployed. Could simply decrease them. Let's take a look at this event and then we'll worry about it. Arva Fleischer, leader of the armed forces, has made a remarkable play for power in the capital in order to secure a spot for the armed forces within the government. However, it is not entirely clear if they should be rewarded for their novel tactics. There's only one light in the street that leads to the armed forces headquarters. There's also only one light inside. There, Arva Fleischer relaxes among the sumptuous mahogany furniture and velvet cushions. The lamp is identical to those that have been sent from the east. The ends justify the means, and our means are very, very justified. It's difficult to not believe him when he offers an inviting seat by his side. Arva Fleischer should be recognized for this. It gets them a lot of strength. Or not all's fair in love and war, that weakens them. Well, I'm not super stoked about the Radical People's Party, so I'm just going to go ahead and say not all's fair in love and war, and that'll weaken them. If I were going to bring them into the government, I might not have done that, but it is what it is. I also got to surplus, an authority surplus here. Okay, standard of living is going back up. I was just so curious. I've never seen that. I've never seen a sudden dip in standard of living like that. These buildings are not enormously productive, but they are still mostly fully employed, so I'm not going to decrease them for now. With that having been said, we can go forward with additional automation. As long as we've got the necessary coal. Coal's looking okay. And once again, I'm doing this because we want to free up some laborers, because we want to keep standard of living increasing. The coal shortage is a real problem. It's not even that much of a shortage. We're bringing in some, and we can bring in more. It's just... How much are we getting from trade routes? Really a lot. It's just so curious. We need diesel pump engines. Then we'll be able to bring it. Then we'll be able to extract just as much coal. Well, not as much as we need, because we need really a lot in order to power this modern economy of ours. But see, it's hard to get automation going when you don't have all the resources you want. But again, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm colonizing places where the people there would not rather I not be there. So, you know, it just kind of is what it is. But this situation where the arts academies in Svealand are getting expanded by the private construction sector when they're not employing anybody, that's gotta stop. This situation is just bananas. Alright, so the United Kingdom is Great Britain is trying to puppet Siam. I'm not really concerning myself with this situation. Again, we're neutral. We're just gonna relax. Württemberg and Baden are fighting each other. That's fine. This is a very relaxed Let's Play. Yeah, the automated construction, the construction AI will do this, and I don't really understand why. It tends to do this with arts academies. They go hog wild in arts academies, and there's no labor available here. We've just got a ton of we have a ton of arts academies that are 10% employed, and it's, oh, okay, there we go. Let's see if that trend keeps up. Okay, so I'm gonna export some art. Okay, never mind, I'm not gonna. We have a lot of fluctuating. We still have a lot of buy orders for art, so I'm not sure why that's. Not sure why these buildings aren't able to employ the people they want to employ. Okay, alright, well, now they're employing it. Okay, well, maybe I was just worried unnecessarily, and the game is doing just fine and knows what it's doing. So we are moving to meet our needs from an art perspective. We're buying a lot of opium now. So here's a question. Do we have any... I'm just going to filter to luxury resources here. We don't have any tea or tobacco in our market. And those would be nice things to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up just one more round of quartz. There's not really labor available, but that's okay. Let's get some tea. Get a little bit of tea from Bali. And a little bit of tobacco. Just a bit from Bahrain. And then we're going to see if that creates a little bit of demand in our market for those things. Now, since we've reached a very high degree of employment, our standard of living is quite good, and what should be happening is we should be pulling in quite a bit of immigration from Europe. That hasn't happened quite yet, but it often takes time. So I'm just going to kind of let that be. Now, one of the consequences of this massive expansion of universities that we've done is that we've just about reached our capacity for innovation. Now, that capacity is going to go up because we just increased education, so that's going to bring literacy up. But for the moment, we're at our innovation capacity, and that means we're going to be able to research technologies really, really fast. And that's just wonderful. There's a peasant revolt happening in Oldenburg. So as you know, we're going to do the reasonable thing and declare neutrality. Although, interestingly, our budget surplus isn't as high as I would have thought it is. We can put down another... Oh, interesting. All of these numbers are rounded off. Philosophical pragmatism, heck yes. Yeah, because our leader is cruel. That's why that's happening. That gives him a trait that reduces decree cost. Oh! It's because you're cruel. That's why our standard of living tanked. Oh, that is really, really interesting. Huh. Now that does raise some questions. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. I didn't realize that at all. Diplomatic ties with Greece. You got anything fun going on? They seem like they're doing fine. So there's a diplomatic play going on where the United States wants Eastern Andalusia here. That is really strange. So, I'm curious. So, the United States is pursuing adventurism in Europe. Spain has called in various allies, including Colombia, Morocco, Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. Brazil sides with Spain. The United States wants us to help, and they want to give us an option to conquer Luzon. Which is a location in the Spanish Philippines. Well, United States, I'm really not interested in that. I mean, let me see. So, the Filipino people have Southeastern heritage and Malay culture. Our people have have European heritage and Scandinavian culture. So, the Filipino people are not going to be accepted in our country because we practice cultural exclusion. We need to do multiculturalism. So that means that everyone in this new state would be discriminated against. And that's just not something I'm interested in. Because this is a nice chill playthrough. We want them to be living in a place where they live and not being discriminated against. So I'm going to decline. No thanks, United States. I'm not interested in supporting your war of aggression in Europe. Oh, what a curious situation. To be honest, I'm feeling more and more inclined to build up my, military now that I know the United States is coming in. Starting arguments, I guess, might be the phrase, in Europe. But, gosh, what a strange situation. If they back down, they'll only have to pay war reparations. Both Prussia and Austria are leaning towards defending Spain, which is reasonable to me. And we'll see if a war happens. It would be a really significant upset if the United States was able to win. I'm quite curious. Alright, well anyway. Hold on. I thought... I had no idea we had sulfur mines. I thought we were getting all of our sulfur from abroad. That's wonderful. That's curious. Okay, so we've developed a tea market. So we're going to import a little bit more tea. And we're going to get it from Johor. And that'll feed our tea market a little bit. And there's Geneco. Interestingly, some of our pops are consuming opium. That's not ideal, though, so we'll leave that be. We've also got some pops purchasing tobacco, and that's just fine. So now that we've got Geneco, I'm going to change our production methods for our naval bases over to that. And that's going to make our navy just a little bit stronger. Take a look at our market for military goods. It's looking pretty okay. We've got a good, solid production base for ironclads and for munitions. Happily, the political movement to enact oligarchy has been disbanded. We're still... The pops still want more tea. So we'll get some from Siak. I'm starting a lot of trade routes for tea, but being a wealthy European country has given me a lot of options in terms of going and making sure that we are getting all the delicious, delicious goods that we want. I wasn't paying close attention, but the war did start. So the war's kicked off now. It seems that both sides have been not fighting each other, and that's just fine. There's a battle happening here in Oldenburg, between Austria and Oldenburg. Anyway, happily we didn't get ourselves involved in that situation. So we're just continuing to to increase our standard of living in order to deal with the standard of living debuff caused by our cruel, expensive tastes, political operator, social democrat. Wait a minute. You can't fool me. Hold on. It's on the tip of my tongue. I know who this is. Everard Clare. I know that's you. Cruel, experienced political operator, expensive tastes. I know that's you, Everard Clare. You can't hide from me. Ugh, amazing. Of the 30 people that watch my channel, there are like 2 that are going to get that. But y'all are going to giggle. Alright. Well, with that having been said, though, this has been fun. This is an interesting challenge, trying to compensate for the cruelty of my leader. But we'll see how things go. But in any case, I've had fun. I hope y'all have had fun. And I'll see y'all on the other side.